What are the 4 abilities that you can use in order to learn a language or to learn Spanish? I have them right here for you. They are represented by these 4 letters. R stands for reading. W stands for writing. L stands for listening. And S stands for speaking. The most important and the most useful abilities are listening and speaking. These ones. For most people, these 2 are the least important. These 2 are input. And these 2 are output. In my opinion, both input and output are important, and you can start working on them at the same time. You don't need to get a lot of input first before you start producing the language. You can start producing the language imperfectly. It doesn't need to be perfect. Now let's go one by one and see how we can use each of these skills in order to acquire and to produce the language and to understand the language. The first one, reading. You can read books, you can read articles, you can read anything that you like. If it is interesting for you, it's gonna make it more fun. And you're not gonna feel it like it is something that is imposed or that is boring. For example, I love reading. 99% of my books are in English. And I'm not talking about like fiction or literature alone. I'm talking about business, sales, marketing, personal growth, etc. So when I read, I don't feel like I'm studying. I feel like I'm learning and I'm using a different language to do it. So reading is extremely important. Now, you can have different techniques. You can read 1 page a day. You can read the headlines in the newspapers. You can learn new vocabulary, 5 words a day. You can practice pronunciation. You can do so many things just with reading. The next one is writing. Not everybody likes writing. For example, I don't write a lot. But if you do like writing, you can learn a lot and you can use this skill in order to acquire and to improve your Spanish. Write about your daily routines. Write about your plans for the future. Write about past experiences, both positive and negative. Write about yourself. Write about things that you like and that you enjoy. That is gonna make it more fun. The writing skill is very important and can help you a lot because it helps you to think, to look up words. I don't believe in learning a language in a passive way. In order to learn a language, you need to be active. I don't buy those videos that say, learn Spanish while sleeping. Come on. Important things in life and things that you really care about require work, effort, time, consistency, and practice and repetition, and making lots of mistakes. Now, let's go to the 2 most important, but also the most difficult skills. Listening. Listening and understanding. Here, I always tell my students, and I tell people in my YouTube channel, that you should listen to real Spanish. Don't listen to Spanish that makes a pause after 1 or 2 words, because nobody speaks like that. People connect words. People connect sounds and letters. And that's a skill you need to develop and you need to become aware of. So, listen to something, and even though it's gonna be very challenging in the beginning, you will start picking up some words. Then if you listen a little bit more, maybe the same recording, the same music, the same song, you will start picking more and more words. You can get the lyrics, you can get the PDF of whatever you are listening to, and start making out what they are saying. But the important thing is to train your ears. It looks like people speak very fast, but they are actually connecting words, sounds, and letters. Listen to things that you like listening to. Listen to podcasts. listen to music, listen to movies or TV shows, listen to people when they speak Spanish in a bar, in a restaurant, in the street. Do whatever you can, but listen and train your ear. And the last one is speaking. Take imperfect action. You need to speak even though you're not ready, you are not prepared, you don't know the topic. You need to use whatever you know. I remember when I arrived in Guam in the year 2000, I was 20 years old. I only knew the word house, apple, and the verb to be. That's it. But in the first week of being in Guam, everybody spoke English. In my 4 years of living in Guam, I only met 2 people that spoke some Spanish. Other than that, everybody spoke English. So for me, it was basically full immersion. But this is not the case for most people. I remember the first week, I was just listening to people, and we always repeat the same words. So I remember people saying so. So I asked one of my friends, oh, what is so? And they say, oh, entonces. Ah, entonces. So I learned entonces. Then somebody wanted to give me a guitar. We went to different music stores, and I heard the person saying all the time, oh, very expensive, very expensive. So I asked my friend again, what is expensive? And he said, oh, caro, costoso. So I learned those words. That's what you need to do. You need to train your ear and recognize patterns, words that are repeated over and over again. That's why I'm a firm believer in the Pareto principle or the 80-20 principle. 20% of the words are used 80% of the times. So I arrived in Guam, and after 1 week of being there and listening to everybody speaking English, we had a meeting, and I had the opportunity of saying some things. People couldn't believe it because I had just been there for 1 week, but I tried to say something imperfectly. I took imperfect action, and that helped me a lot. I never felt bad for making mistakes, and I made a lot of mistakes. I've made a lot of mistakes throughout my life. But this is important. I learned a lot from my mistakes. So speaking is very important. If you have a speaking partner, if you can go to a language exchange, if you listen to something and repeat, okay, do shadowing, that's going to be very important. You can use these 4 skills to acquire the language you want. Now, these 4 skills can help you practice pronunciation, linking, vocabulary, verb tenses, etc. You can learn all of these things within each and every one of these skills. Now, if you want to practice these 4 skills and especially get to listening and speaking eventually, I'll leave the link for my school community. Go and check it out.